and it is October 13th. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my very first live broadcast here. It is 3 a.m. here in the state of Tennessee, and it is a very busy morning. Happy Columbus Day and also Indigenous People Day. We'll get to that in just a minute. We have lots of headlines from across the world and sports stories like James Franklin getting fired on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a busy day, but we are going to first get to our live broadcast in Israel. This morning is a morning that not just the people of Israel will remember, but the entire Jewish community around the world is watching this morning as the last hostages that Hamas took captive on October 7th will be free. And I have more news this morning. Just a few moments ago, Hostage Square in um, in Israel, in Tel Aviv, Israel. Well, not Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, has been renamed to Freed Squared for the hostages that have been freed from Hamas captivity. This morning we have a lot of news to get to. Any moment now, President Trump, the U.S. president, um, will be landing in Jerusalem very shortly. He is going to make his way to the Israel Parliament building where he will give an address to Israel Parliament. This morning is going to be a busy morning. We have the next 3 hours and 30 minutes to watch me. One quick thing, ladies and gentlemen, is to subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to my channel to get more views and show the people that I'm an independent journalist. Ladies and gentlemen, we're first going to get into this top news story that we've all been wondering about since October 7th was the hostages. This morning, all 20 hostages that are alive have been released into Israel custody and are in just a few moments they are going to be um, re uh, reuniting with their peers and their friends and family and loved ones. We also got the deceased hostages that their bodies and caskets will be transported from Gaza to Israel and will be identified and go to the hostages' families who are deceased. But all this happened for just a moment. It is 6 days ago that October 7th happened, the 2 year anniversary. If we can have a moment of silence for the victims who died on that day. And ladies and gentlemen, dive into this morning, how this all came about is because of President Trump, who came when President Netanyahu came to the White House just a short months ago, and the President Netanyahu and Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump came were at the White House and proposed this peace plan to the world, the 20-point peace plan. There's a lot of points to this. I'm gonna read quite a few of them this morning. Uh, some of them are uh, aid Hamas member. Israel will free 250 Palestinian life sentences and prisoners and terrorists and 1,700 uh, hostages that Israel has right now. All all deceased and alive Israeli hostages will return to Israel in 72 hours. Um, there will also be Hamas will not govern Gaza no more, and Gaza will rebuild from the rubble. 90% of Gaza is destroyed, and we are going to talk about all of these 20-point plans this morning, but this morning we are going to talk about how this day is going to go. In just a few moments, President Trump will be landing in Israel, and he will be going to the parliament and making an address to the Israeli parliament. Then, after that, he will be getting on Air Force One again to go to Egypt and meet with almost all global leaders who are part of NATO. Some are part of NATO, some are part of all corners of the world, will be in Egypt for this historic peace summit. And Israel and Hamas will not be attending this. But um, how this all happened was because of President Trump. He is a man who cared a lot about this. Was his first priority to get the hostages out and to end the violence and bloodshed in Gaza. Um, Lots of deaths, almost 100,000 deaths have been reported out of this war for 2 years. One of the most devastating wars in the 21st century, and one of the most devastating wars probably in the Middle East. And this war has spread into more conflict. Like a few months ago, we had the Iran war with Israel and the U.S. that lasted 2 weeks, 12 days. Um, and it was we did blow up three um, Iranian nuclear facilities. Um, we also Israel took out most of the ballistic missiles and other defense ministry defense um, out of Iran. Um, Iran is now very weak. It is at a very weak moment now, but I but Iran is still powerful at this moment. Lots of others. This war has been sponsored by Iran, the number one state sponsor of terrorism. Well, it's also been sponsored by the Houthis, who do not like Americans and do not like Israel. Um, there's been so many locations and like sparred up wars that have came out of this, like the Syria war that ended in December. We are approaching 1 year since the end of the Syria war, one of the most devastating war in modern times in the Middle East that killed 800,000 people. Um, like like in Jordan, Tower 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 22, where 3 U.S. soldiers died from a drone strike from Iran and other Muslim countries. There's also been the attacks in the Red Sea from the Houthis targeting cargo ships. That is still going on today, and the and the attack on Lebanon from Israel is still going on. Lots of stuff still going on, but today is the most important day of all. That the Gaza war, the most destructive war of out of these bunch, is ending today. What President Trump said on Air Force One late Sunday night or early Monday morning. It is lots of lots of concern of what can happen if after this peace signing. Will Hamas or Israel attack again? We don't know, but in my opinion, in my opinion, this is a great deal and great bill and deal that's happening right now today. It is a historic one that people all over the world will remember. People will remember this day as the hostages will be set free and as the Gaza war will be ending. There and in just a few moments. Like I said, President Trump will be arriving in Israel. But let's go over Trump's 20 point peace deal. I'm trying to understand all of it, but phase point one will Gaza will become a terror-free zone. My opinion, yes, it should be, and it absolutely is. You have we just had the most probably bloodiest war in Israel and Gaza history, and 90% of all Gaza is rubble, and there's nothing left. There is also the second point: Gaza will redevelop and improve life for its people. Yes, it should, because you have 2 million people who live in Gaza on top of people, on top of people, on top of people. And it's it's so crowded there. You probably have never heard the word um, private or anywhere else in Gaza because it is so crowded. Um, Point three, the war ends immediately. Both sides agree with Israel withdrawal to agree upon line of ceasefire. That's also true. That's also happening right now. Israel is taking their forces out of Gaza and putting them back in. They are redirecting them back to Israel. Um, Gaza. The thing with Gaza is with these three just main points, you have a lot of people who have came back to their homes that have rubble and like total rubble and no homes left, nothing left. And in another point that another point in this 20-point plan is that they will redevelop Gaza into a new Dubai or Doha, and turn it into a newer and safer place that is terrorist free. Um, right after we come after the break, we're going to talk about the rest of the points. We have probably another good 45 minutes with you, ladies and gentlemen, here on hour one of our special coverage live here in the great state of Tennessee. I'm Peter Balitsos, and we'll be right back after the break. Thank you. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this very live coverage this morning here in the state of Tennessee. It is 3:24 a.m. Welcome after my commercial break. It is a very busy morning. President Trump in just a few moments is about to land. We're about to get back to the 20-point peace deal that I was just reading off. But how we got to this peace deal was because of the leverage. And here we go. So so the leverage that Trump gained from a lot of these Muslim countries, I'm going to tell you right now. So back in just a few months ago on September 9th, Israel attacked or a office where Hamas leadership was in. No harm to Qatar, but one Qatar civilian did die. But Israel was not targeting Qatar. But the leadership team did survive the assassination, and it was a missile strike. But Qatar, so when President Netanyahu came to the White House and proposed his peace deal, he Trump, if you remember, called up the uh, minister of or emperor of Qatar, um, and gave the phone to Netanyahu, and Netanyahu said sorry. And also, when the Turkish president, I'm going to tell you something about the Turkish. I think Turkey's a wonderful country. It has Istanbul, one of the oldest cities in the world, a very historic city for the Muslim and Christianity. Used to be called Constantinople, but Turkey is so they're the worst NATO ally in the NATO bunch. So we really don't call Turkey a really, I wouldn't say friend, but a really close ally to the U.S. Um, but when the Turkish Prime Minister came to the U.S., he asked for F-15s, missiles, to help defend his country from other countries that want to target Turkey. Um, like maybe Syria or Lebanon or anywhere else. So Turkey agreed, but only on one condition: if Turkey does help Israel, and they did agree, and that's really when the peace deal got started. And Hamas saw that. Hamas did see that Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, pretty much, and a lot of other countries saw that if you keep on fighting Hamas, you will lose and probably have nothing left. Not just a city or infrastructure or houses or the Gaza Strip, but as a government and military, because they would wipe them out. This is also a so that's what Hamas saw. That's why they accepted the peace deal. And one of the peace plans, here we go, is, if I can find it. So one of the peace plans is for an international stabilized force deployed to secure Gaza and train police and future military in the Gaza Strip. So I'm not meaning the United Nations. United Nations. Um, I mean people like Turkey, like um, like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the only country that has stepped forward and said that they will bring troops to the the Gaza Strip to govern it. Because if you are rebuilding, you don't want Hamas. You're not going to want a terrorist organization trying to snipe or kill you while you're building, while construction workers are building, or kill them. There are that they need to a lot of forces. They need a lot of forces. They need Turkey to step up their game and bring some of their forces down to the Gaza. They need Egypt. They need Saudi Arabia and Qatar and everybody else. They need these countries, and you know these countries really do help not just the Jewish community but the entire world and Israel. Um, More of the 20-point peace plan is that Hamas will conclude its government. So Hamas will not govern the not Palestine, but Gaza Strip anymore, and will dismantle all their weapons. That's not going to happen. One thing that's just not going to happen in my book, because you're going to have a armed terrorist country that's always right there, and is going to try to, and it's always going to be a terrorist country. And if they get rid of all their weapons, they still have other countries that they can rely on, like Iran, like Iraq, like not Syria, but Lebanon, the Houthis, any other terrorist country or terrorist group in the Middle East will help them. But another thing is, if well, this is was a if Hamas rejects the plan, areas handed over from Israel military to the ISF will proceed, so they will wipe out the Gaza Strip. That will not happen because because Hamas has accepted the plan. There's more. There's a U.S. will lead talks for peaceful political future between Israel and Palestine. Um, Lots more reforms paved for the ways for Palestine's self-determination and statehood. So that means pretty much the Gaza Strip will become its own country and have a self-government or a Palestinian government with Palestinian locals, or civilians. Another point of the peace deal is that the aid from the United Nations and Red Cross will come to Gaza and help the people. Like I said before my before my break, last in my last segment, it will Gaza is on top of people and people and people. You have 90% of Gaza is destroyed, and pretty much all these people don't have food, don't have home, don't have anything. Pretty much, they're starting from ground level. They don't have a bank account. They don't have money. Um, they don't even have jobs because their workplaces or where they worked at or their businesses are destroyed. So pretty much, you're looking at a country right now from ground level up. You have no economy. Right now, you have no infrastructure. All your infrastructure is destroyed. All your houses, all of your government buildings, all your historic temples or tourism or tourist attractions are destroyed. Another one is that full humanitarian aid enters immediately to rebuild essentials infrastructure. I'm gonna tell you something. I've never been to Gaza. I'm probably never ever going to go to Gaza. I'm going to go to Israel at one point in my life to see the see Galilee, see Jerusalem, see Bethlehem, see all that as I'm a Christian believer. Um, the infrastructure, if you have ever looked on Google Earth of Gaza, you see no highways. They have one port the size of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., or probably even smaller than the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So you pretty much have no economy. You have no infrastructure. You have no ports, no highways. They don't even have an airport or helipad there. So you're pretty much looking at nothing. You have no infrastructure. And one of these one of these points, 20 points of the peace deal will rebuild infrastructure. There's no infrastructure in Gaza. There's no infrastructure at all through the Gaza Strip from south to north, from east to west. Before I get to that, before I go back to commercial break, right after commercial break, we're going to be talking about the history of Israel and Gaza's relationship and how they don't like each other. We're going to talk about how Israel really came to the Arab nations and the Middle East. We're also going to talk about the itinerary today and more coming up on my next couple hours of this historic day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned to the Cougar Balitsos channel while we go to commercial break. But before that, sometime in May, as we're getting our stuff together, we are my team, my video team, and everything else are planning on going to to Greece and Istanbul. We'll be having stops in Istanbul, Athens, and Crete, and Simonia, I think what it's called. So it's the island where buildings are on top of buildings, and very beautiful in Greece. So we'll be having live coverage. It'll be the first time the Cougar Balitsos show will be going international. So I hope you can stay tuned. Get your tickets today. It will be a live studio audience from Greece. We'll be talking to many people, many Greeks. That is my heritage. That is where I'm from. That's where my family is from. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere after the break. We'll be talking about that more in my upcoming hours. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the special edition of the Cougar Balitsos Show. This morning it is 3:50, 39. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cooper Balitsos Show. I am Cooper Balitsos. We have a very busy morning ahead, a historic morning in the here, not just here in America, but across the world. Like I was saying right before our break last time, yes, I am going on a Mediterranean tour. I will get to that in just a minute, but we're going to talk more about this plan, this 20-point peace plan deal on what's happening. So, like I said, we're going to go plan by plan, point by point. Another point was Trump economic plan to rebuild Gaza with global investments and job creation. So, my opinion is, and everybody else's probably opinion is, Gaza doesn't really have plan. Gaza doesn't have jobs, and if the people did have jobs, they probably have gotten destroyed. Their businesses have gotten destroyed because everybody. Gaza has one of the worst economies in probably the entire world because it's so small and there's no really major businesses, not like Fortune 500 companies, global fortune companies. So Gaza doesn't even have any companies. So what does the Gazans or the people in Gaza do? What they do is they set up shops in probably in the back of their houses, and set up shops, probably little mom and pop stores or little shops that people rely on, and most of those have gotten destroyed. So you're really not going to see jobs being created until you get all the debris and you're starting to build. Now, yes, there are some jobs about removing debris, removing the rubble, but that can be international people, that can be a company, that could be anybody. But so that's another point of the peace deal. Another one is international stabilize. Well, not that one. We have already gone over that one. No force displacement. People are free to stay, leave, or return. That's a good point right there. That is really a good point because Gaza, when people come back, many people are going to probably leave or stay, but they're probably going to return or leave to go to Egypt, to go to Lebanon, Iran, some of these people, or go to Israel, or get citizenships in other countries, because Gaza doesn't have pretty much the government, the economy, like I said, or anything else to really have, for people to stay. Not like here in America that we have a steady government, one of the best economies in the world, one of the best militaries in the world. Gaza just really does not have that. And if you really do see, people are not leaving America, people are coming to America. So that's really mostly people who want to get out of Gaza are probably, they're free to return to Gaza, but they probably will leave Gaza when everything starts settling back. More peace plans, more of these peace deal. Another thing, in just a few hours, the Palestinians, 1,000 Palestinians will be bused from Israel to Gaza for a hostages exchange. We got more of that coming up, ladies and gentlemen, in the next couple of hours. But we're also going to get to this historic summit that is happening today. Very historic today. Like I have said, we got countries all over the world that are coming in. NATO countries, Arab countries, countries that include Canada, Egypt, France, Germany, Greece, India, Iraq, Italy, Japan, Norway, Palestine, Qatar,
Saudi Arabia, Spain, Turkey, United Kingdom, and United States and United Arab Emirates. Lots of those countries are coming into, a lot of presidents and prime ministers were coming in today to for this historic peace summit this morning. So in just a few hours, like I said, President Trump will be landing in Israel for a historic speech at the Israeli Parliament. We'll get you live coverage of that, ladies and gentlemen. But talking about this peace summit coming up here, it is so historic that this peace summit is, because you have all these world leaders coming in. You have all these world leaders coming in all over the world. Some of the most powerful leaders to some of the most weakest leaders coming in. You have countries that don't really agree on things and have been in wars, like Pakistan and India, like a few months ago, that they almost had a pretty much war. So Pakistan is coming, India is coming. We have Zimbabwe that almost started a war, and many other countries that don't like each other but are coming in for this peace summit. This is a very historic day, very historic as all these countries are coming in. We know that many prime ministers and presidents have landed in Egypt, in the airport of Egypt, and are making their way to the conference. President Trump will be there a little later today, as he is addressing the Israeli Parliament in just a few hours. More plans, more everything is coming, and just a very historic day. But like I'm going to say, this is also another historic day. Columbus Day is today. Columbus did found parts of North America and South America. He found Cuba, parts of Florida, parts of southern Florida, the Western Antilles, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and probably a lot of other Caribbean islands that we know of that are vacation spots today. It is also Indigenous People Day today. Very historic too. And that's pretty much that we have all of today. It is a federal holiday. Banks are closed. Post offices are closed, and lots of other government facilities are closed today for Columbus Day. So, the itinerary today for President Trump is going to be a lot. You're going to have, so in just a few hours, like I've said multiple times, he will be landing in Israel, and in just a few hours, addressing the Israeli Parliament. He will also be visiting some of the hostages' families today, and some of the hostages that have been set free. He will also get back on Air Force One to go to Egypt for this historic peace summit, where he will speak to multiple presidents, prime ministers. He'll have a sit-down conversation with the president of Egypt, and that's pretty much it. And he will get back on Air Force One and head back to the United States. Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 14th, is Charlie Kirk Day. If you do not remember, and probably everybody does remember, about 2 months ago when Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah. Tomorrow is Charlie Kirk's birthday and Charlie Kirk Day in America. And tomorrow I also know that Trump is giving the Medal of Honor to Charlie Kirk, the highest civilian Medal of Honor throughout America. More coming up on this hour of the Balitsos Hour and the Cooper Bullish Show live coverage, live from Israel, not Israel, live from the great state of Tennessee. I'm Cooper Balitsos. We'll be right back right after break. Thank you for watching, and subscribe. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Cooper Balitsos. Welcome back to my special live coverage this morning of this historic day, like I have been saying for the last couple times. It's a very historic day for not just Israel and not just for Gaza and the Middle East, but for the entire world. So the history of Israel is very complex. So if everybody does remember, how this conflict has all started, how this war has pretty much been started, is because of land. So if you remember back in World War II when Hitler was invading other countries and killing Jews for the Holocaust, what happened was, after the war, the United Nations, when they were doing things, came together and said that we should build should find a land for the Jewish people where they should live, work, stay, and all that, so they won't be bothered or won't be terrorized for the rest of their lives. So that plan, honestly, it did work in some cases, but it also did fail in other cases. That Israel is pretty much the only country that is not hostile in the region. So what happened was, all the Arab nations did not like this. So the United Nations put Israel where the land of Palestine, Iraq, Jordan, and Lebanon is today. So these Arab nations did not like that and had a war called Six-Day War against all the United Nations and pretty much every other country except Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria. And so many countries fought for this, but they were defeated later in the war, and Israel got their land. And look at Israel today. Israel's such a successful country, not just for their government and for this war, but military also. They have one of the strongest militaries in the world. They might not have the most biggest, but they have a strong. And they have also the Iron Dome that is very historic to Israel. Without that, Israel would probably be in rubble right now and ashes. And just such a historic, such a historic place. It is almost 3:50, ladies and gentlemen. We are in about 10 minutes. We are about to end our hour 1 live coverage. Hour 2 will be coming to in just about 10 minutes. So, but you also have, like I've been saying, like I have just said, Israel did, I would not say take, but the United Nations took the land where Israel, from Palestine and other Arab countries in the Middle East, where Israel is today. So we're also going to get the sports hour, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes. But we are still going to cover just live breaking news of this historic day, ladies and gentlemen. So historic indeed. It's Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day, and it's also a historic summit that's happening in Egypt in just a few hours. And the parliament in Israel is about to be addressed too by President Trump. So we have more breaking news coverage, like I am going to get to right now. We're going to go step by step of the Gaza war, and here in just a few minutes to show you what happened and what has happened throughout the last 2 years and 6 days that this war is going on. So let's go to this. Let us go to this. So first off, let's start with October 7th, a deadly day in Israel that probably is the 9/11 of Israel in their time. Worst day since the worst event for Jewish people in Israel since the Holocaust. So I'm not going to get into the entire thing, in the entire October 7th terror attack. That dog would stop barking at 3 a.m., you know, that would help. But sorry folks, it is 3 a.m. here. It is about 4. But October 7th was such a deadly attack, and I'm not going to get into the details because the details are very heartbreaking and sad, and it's just awful what to say and what happened. So, what so we had the October 7th terror attack, and then Israel declared war on Gaza on October 7th and invaded Israel. And in October and throughout November of 2023, there was a first truce. The first ceasefire was in November of 2023. Hostages were let out during December to January, building up President Netanyahu throughout February to April was telling people to leave northern Gaza because northern Gaza is now ashes, and if those people did not leave, it would just be more catastrophic. And then they begin Israel command and ground forces began to move southward and to take over the entire Gaza Strip. Continue operations throughout Gaza through October to December of 2024. The second ceasefire was in January through March of 2025. That lasted for a couple of weeks. There was also Israel attacks resumed in March of April of 2025, killing more people. More until August to September when the peace deal was finalized, and right now Gaza is in a ceasefire and Israel. So how many lives this war has taken is so many, so probably almost 100,000 civilian lives just in Gaza alone. Israel was about 1,000 civilian lives, so just catastrophic and sad. We've had about close to 15,000 people missing in Gaza. The also thing is that Israel has targeted hospitals, daycares, and all that. That is just really sad. But these hospitals and daycares have tunnels, underground tunnel system, where Hamas is traveling in. And one key thing that Prime Minister Netanyahu and other world leaders have said: take out Hamas tunnel system, you will defeat Hamas, or probably weaken them. So, just still sad, but and like I said a couple, probably 30 minutes ago, in my early part of this broadcast of this hour, was that this war has fed into so many else wars, like Iran war that lasted 2 weeks, 12 days, and other wars like in Syria. But Syria's civil war did end this year, in late December 8th, 2024. So just sad time for the Middle East. But today is that President Trump is hoping for that will be a day that will change the Middle East from now on and put it into a prosper, holy land environment again. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up in just a couple more minutes, 5 more minutes left of hour 1 of our broadcast here on the special coverage of the Cooper Balitsos show, live coverage of the Israel ceasefire and peace plan and peace deal from Tennessee. Next up, we'll be having Sports Hour. James Franklin getting fired. Be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this historic day. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. So like I said, we have 5 more minutes, probably even 4 more minutes in this broadcast of hour 1, Sports Hour. This morning, James Franklin again was fired this weekend. over just three embarrassing games for Penn State. So historic and horrible. Also, was the Cubs have lost in the World Series. The Yankees have lost. Tonight is the Bears and Washington Commanders that will be playing tonight. So we also had Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football was last night. College was great. Here is some of the college rankings. ESPN college rankings. So right now the college rankings of 2025 for right now. Number 1, Ohio State, no surprise. Number 2, Miami. Number 3, Indiana. Number 4, Texas A&M. Number 5, Ole Miss. Number 6, Alabama. Number 7, Texas Tech. Number 8, Oregon. Number 9, Georgia. Number 10, Tennessee. Number 11, 10, LSU. Number 11, Tennessee. 12, Georgia Tech. 13, Notre Dame. 14, Oklahoma. 15, BYU. 15, Missouri. 17, Vanderbilt. 18, Virginia. 19, South Florida. 20, USC. 21, Texas. 22, Memphis. 23, Utah. 24, Cincinnati. And 25, Nebraska. Lots of just all over the table teams on this. Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. Also with Vanderbilt, there has been some talk with this new head coaching job for who is going to be the next head coach for the Penn State. What some people are saying is Clark Lee, the head coach for Vanderbilt, is going to be possibly the next head coach. James Franklin was the head coach for a lot of in Vanderbilt and led them to 3 bowl games and many more happy times for Vanderbilt. But this is so historic that Clark Lee has done this season, defeating South Carolina, defeating Georgia Tech, defeating Virginia Tech, and Charleston Southern. But this weekend is going to be the LSU and Vanderbilt game on ESPN, 11 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. Next week will be Missouri and Vanderbilt. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching my live coverage of this hour of the Cooper Balitsos show. Thank you for watching. We will be here in about 2 minutes. We will be back here on the Cooper Balitsos show, live here in Tennessee. I'm Cooper Balitsos, signing off for the next 2 minutes. We will be back here for the 4 a.m. hour. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in just a few more minutes. Thank you.